Welcome back, everybody. The Springs Art Gallery is pleased to present the South African Meta Socialism, a collaborative exhibition featuring artworks by Simon Radebe, Themba Msiza and Nicholas Marobane. Now, this exhibition continues the gallery's mission to showcase diverse art forms reflecting South Africa's rich cultural diversity and making visual art accessible to all. The South African Meta Socialism draws on themes of violence, xenophobia and socio-economic and political inequalities, all of which affect the South African nation. And now, we're joined in studio by the exhibition artists Simon Radebe and Nicholas Marobane. Gents, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning.
A very good morning. Thanks for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure. Yeah. Nicholas, I'm going to start with you. I see that your work often incorporates, mixed media. So how does this reflect your perspective on South African art?
It reflects the South African art in the form of, I always talk to my colleagues here regarding the way we actually produce work. We always want to do something that will accommodate the people who are not having the background of art. So the medium that I choose something that is more easier for the eye, even for the people that doesn't understand or that, like I said, doesn't have a background of art. And then in the same time, if you look at the pictures or the images that I do, you'll find that most of them, they actually have so much with the kind of daily activities or events that we get across.
Maybe let's granulate it to simpler terms. What's the significance of sound in your artworks? I mean, how does that work?
Can we check with Simon regarding the...
Okay.
Yeah, sure. And Simon, your work, explores themes of identity and belonging. So how does this exhibition's focus on social issues intersect with your artistic vision?
My work, I'll base it really on what has been produced before, in South Africa. And when we're talking about identity, we're talking about what we identify with as South Africans. So I try as much as possible to focus on what the layman out there is concerned with. And then because as an artist, you can never really detach yourself from the issues on the ground. So at the moment, you find out the social issues that are happening, your inequalities that are happening, the unemployment, your GPVs that are happening, they affect us in as much as they affect everyone else. So you cannot detach yourself or maybe take a certain perspective as an artist and not address those issues. So my work is based on the people, and then I reference a lot of people who have been in the creative center, in my work to address certain ideas.
I'm actually glad that you highlighted some of the social ills that South Africa is facing, unemployment and xenophobia, etc., etc. So I want you to take us through your creative process when addressing such critical and sensitive issues.
I can just say initially, when I was at varsity, because I studied STUT, we both did with Marobane, that's where we first met. So I was conditioned a lot more into sculpture making. I would make sketches, and then sculpture came out as a medium that speaks to me the most. But I got a sense that in as much as my passion is there for sculpture, there's a lot of sketching that goes behind it before I make that sculptural form. So I wanted to tap into other mediums that will allow people to relate to me a lot more, because as artists, we don't want to be boxed or focus on one dimension.
What are these other mediums?
So these other mediums that I'm talking about, like, let's just use the term material, because the viewer out there might not understand when you're talking about the medium. So the medium that I'm talking about is pencil, charcoal, your chalk pastels, your ink, your acrylic paint, those traditional materials really. And then we would use paper as your foundation where we express these ideas. So I've adopted in my work, because when we draw as artists, you know, we would either draw with a pencil or a charcoal. So you'd often find smudges maybe of your fingerprints on your drawing. So those little elements would at some point frustrate me. So I adopted that and put it into my work in a way to authenticate my work, yes, or to come up with a style, you know. If you look at some of my work, they do show those impressions, you know, where I use my thumbprints, my fingerprints, and then I also use my own signature. Like the way I would sign a document, or so I use the signature itself to make the figurative work, so that when you look at the picture out there, in as much as it's appealing to the eye, but when you look closer to the detail, you see that these are signatures, you know, there's text in that work, you know, to also illustrate the points even better.
Gosh, how cool is that? Nicholas, I see that your work is multi-layered and multifaceted. I mean, it shows vibrant use of color and textures, adding to a layer of complexity to this exhibition. So, can you discuss your artistic choices? What informed those choices?
You know, the work that I do, sometimes when you sit alone and you look at what is happening in South Africa, you look at how the behaviors that we come across as people, sometimes you find that there's no voice where we can actually raise these issues or these matters. Yeah. But you then, now when you start to think that you are an artist and you want to reveal or you want to express how you feel about the situations, you always, you know, come back to the drawing board. You always come back to that creativity that, you know, would actually be motivated, of course, by the issues that are happening. And like I said earlier, that, you know, the medium or the material that I used it so they are very strong. If you look at my work, it's easy for an eye, of course, for anyone that, you know, doesn't have a background of art. But in the same time, I wanted to make it so much toned so that it's aggressive to sort of like address things that we know for a fact that a lot of people, they are going through things. But in the same time, I was talking to Simon about it this morning when on our way here, that art in South Africa, it doesn't have a space. It doesn't have a lot of people are fine artists. A lot of people, they are creative in this field, but then you find that they don't have enough opportunities to actually showcase their work. But then with this movement that we're trying to establish now, we sort of like want to make people to realize that with this, it's not only for decorations in the house or in the homes, but then we can actually address the social issues that are happening now.
You did say earlier on that you know, your art is easy to the eye, especially for the non-discerning you know, viewer or those who don't have an artistic eye. But how does your work or how does your art encourage the viewers, you know, to tackle and address some of the difficult social situations or ills that they may be facing?
I think the fact that they are relatable, the fact that even you can actually visit the gallery there and switch off all your daily affairs and then just engage in the environment of that exhibition. There's something that you would actually come to your space. You will either be motivated or you'll either be moved or inspired, or you know, it will change something with the interaction with the work that is there. All right, gents, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Brian, share more details on how we can view and see your works? Can I? Yeah, we want to shout out to Themba Msiza. Some of the work that you see here, we actually working with three of us. So some of the work that you see here is also his, and then would like to, I will give it to Simon to just give gratitude to the... Yeah, we are out of time, just in 10 seconds. Yeah. Go for it. In just 10 seconds, the city of Ekurhuleni for giving us the opportunity, and the Springs Art Gallery itself, and the lady Piliswa Lila, and obviously our families, and Themba, as he mentioned. Even Bratabo and his team, thumbs up for putting this together. Great stuff. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Good stuff. Well, that is Simon and Nicholas from the Springs Art Gallery talking to us about their thought-provoking insights and powerful artworks titled the South African Meta Socialism exhibition.